Zora shares her emotions with Michael and Saru in the turbo lift, but nobody asked her. Stamets learns how to delegate, and Ensign Cortez, we hardly knew ye. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. Today we're doing a review of Discovery Season 4, Episode 6, entitled Stormy Weather, directed by Jonathan Frakes, and we are joined by a very special guest all the way out in the beautiful state of Missouri, TJ Jackson-Bey.
Hello, hello.
The party gorn.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about this awesome episode directed by Jonathan Frakes. I wonder if it was his idea to have sparks falling out everywhere in every scene because it looked beautiful.
Yeah, he had a lot of exterior shots too that were really nice. I thought too. There's just beautiful exterior shots.
I made a lot of notes of those too. Holy, that was like the exterior shots of the ship, the interior shots of the ship. There was one specific shot on the outside of the ship towards the end. Oh, when it was getting ripped apart, right?
Yes. The graphics, I mean, awesome. Even when they were sending out those little robots, what are they called? Dots?
Dots. Yeah.
Well, what does the dots stand for?
I knew he was going to ask that.
Dude, I just realized something, and this is probably so obvious. Isn't there? Oh my God, you guys are going to kill me. The Star Trek fans, not you guys. You guys are my friends. There's a short trek called Ephraim and Dot.
Yes.
Are these dots have to be the same as that dot, right, TJ?
Yes.
I never made that connection.
1,000 years later.
Yeah, because I never saw that short trek. I just know that, there's a short trek called that, and there's like a alien and a robot.
It's pretty good. I like it.
Okay, so this robot is the future version of that robot that was in that short trek. Is that what?
Also called Dot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we learn anything about dots in that short trek, TJ?
Just that they're usually around and we don't usually see them, but they're there.
They're there
doing the dirty work in the ship. You wonder how the ship stays clean. It's because dots go around and clean it up.
Got it. Lower deckers.
Yeah, I guess it's funny because a boat, after a while develops like that certain kind of algae in the bottom of it. And you have to clean the bottom of boats every so often, and you wonder what grows or develops on the outside of the spaceship, right?
Space algae,
right? Or what is it? It's got to be something that's attaching itself, and that it needs, a nice wipe down every once in a while, just like your car.
Nothing a good old variant sweep can't fix.
Right. Yeah, so that was my little drawing, was the little dot right there.
Oh, there he is.
Little rendition.
She is.
That's neat.
Yeah.
So that I got.
Baryon sweep. That was Starship Mine, TJ? Barium
yes.
Sweep. Great. Good knowledge. Okay.
Yes. I've heard it mentioned a couple of times or two. I think see the lower decks or an earlier Discovery episode where they had to do a variant sweep, but I mean they didn't actually show it, so.
Okay.
Yeah, we remember that, if any serious rider keeps a saddle.
That's exactly what I was thinking, is the saddle. And right now, Cirroc's like, this episode sounds terrible. There's a saddle and a sweep. What is this?
It's the Commander Hutchinson episode we're always talking about, Cirroc.
Hutch.
Okay.
Yeah. So this episode, and by the way, I've got a background of our good friend Raven Dowda, who plays Dr. Tracy Pollard. And it was really cool to have her back. I think this is the first time she's actually back in an episode. It took 6 episodes. Very happy to see her again, and her having several scenes. And it really seems like, because obviously of the pandemic, the writers created almost like these actor bubbles where they're like, okay, we're going to have this group of actors just for this episode and this group of actors just for this episode. Like, I think last episode of the previous one, the entire bridge crew was totally different. Remember, it had its own, bridge crew. There was Linus, there was the new guy, I can't remember his name. There are a couple other people.
Lieutenant Christopher.
Yes, exactly. And they just used them for that entire episode. And there was no crossover. There was no change. And now we have the regular, probably the Alpha Shift, right? And all the people that we know and we recognize there. And there's no change, no crossover. So they're doing a good job, clearly, of not only doing it for health and safety reasons, but also it kind of makes sense in universe that there would be shifts. Here's this regular crew, and then now there's the Beta Shift or the Delta Shift, as Jellicoe would love, right?
Love your chains of command, huh? Chain of command.
Emerald chain of command.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's fancy.
Well, how happy, TJ, we were talking before we started recording a little bit about Pollard. Did you have any thoughts on that?
I was really glad to see Dr. Pollard back. Because I'm such a big fan of Deep Space Nine, of course, I love to see, all of the characters get a piece of development every now and then. And Dr. Pollard is one of my favorites. So it's always good to see Dr. Pollard doing her thing. The scene in the corridor on, I think it was deck 17 with the crewmen, it was going to be one of my nitpicks, but as I was watching, I think I ran it back and I heard her yell to Cortez, who we barely knew, to beam out. And he didn't have time to do it because my first thought was like, why can't he just beam out? But good old Dr. Pollard was on that. She was all over that, trying to save her fellow crew member.
It was a cool dramatic moment too.
Yeah, it was a dramatic moment. I like the honeycomb containment field that they kind of used behind her in the green screen as they were, kind of panning back to reveal that moment. And, something we've seen play out in movies before where they have to isolate a certain space in order to save everything else. This usually happens in like submarines and all these, you have to close off a submarine door because the water will flood everywhere else, and somebody's got to die, because door got to close right now. Sorry. So they played on that theme, but I thought it was well done, and we love Raven as she brings a warmth to her spirit and a kind of an energy about her that feels familiar and personal, and that's why I really kind of miss having her, and I wish that they would use her more often because she feels like she's a part of that crew to me. When she shows up, I feel like has a relationship with the other crew members, and I'd like to see them expand on her character a little more.
Totally.
And that's one of my nitpicks for this show is that I do want to see more character growth for all of the other crew members. There's like Detmer and all of these, characters. They seem, they've given a lot of space for tall and gray, and for their characters, but they haven't given enough for some of the other characters that we see on the bridge.
Bryce
Reese.
Yeah. Right.
Nilsson.
And I want to see more of their stories.
Me too.
Nilsson and Dr. Pollard. And these people also, they gave up their families. They walked away from everything that they know. They've committed.
And that's just to act in this show.
Yeah. Right. No, but they've made this commitment to be a part of this crew, the Discovery crew. And to me, it's like, let's see what they've lost too. It can't only be about Book and what he's going through psychologically and the demons that are bothering him. What about these other characters like Bryce and so on and so forth? Let's talk about what they sacrificed to be there. and how that kind of they threw in a little scene in there, and she says, when I was 10 years old, and she started to go off about when she was 10 years old, right? And it was at a crucial moment too, like the whole ship's about to go, everybody beam out of here. Oh yeah, before I leave, when I was 10 years old, I had a friend, and it's like, not the time to tell me the 10-year-old story.
Yeah, Saru's like, we've been waiting 4 seasons to learn more about your character, and you choose now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And I wish Saru would say that. And if he says that, then like now's not the time. Instead, he's very accepting and listening and has words of wisdom and advice. But I would like him to say, "Hey, now's not the time. Talk to me later when we're having coffee in the morning."
Blueberries. I wanted to add a couple. Sorry. There's more.
No. That was my point. Just
I wanted to add a couple more things to that. One is just to close up the door on Pollard. In this episode, she reminded me of Nurse Alyssa Ogawa, because Ogawa was in a bunch of Next Generation episodes. And every time you'd see her in an episode, you'd be like, oh, cool, a little expansion into the sick bay, a little bit more into the medical department. I'd like to see her more than that, because that would really amount to 1 or 2 or 3 episodes per season. And I'd rather see her in the bulk of the episodes personally. And I would love to see an episode that's focused on sick bay, one that is sorry, I was hearing something in my mic. Did you guys catch that?
A little bit, very briefly, yeah.
Okay. But I'd like to see one that's focused on Culber and Pollard and, a couple tertiary medical, personnel. But anyway, she did remind me a little bit about Ogawa. And then about the bridge officers that we've been talking about since season 1, saying, what's this guy's story? What's that girl's story? What's going on here? Like, we want to know more about these people. Today in this episode, I felt like we finally started to get a little bit. Each one of them got a tiny bit of juicy lines rather than just a firing or yes, sir.
Hi, sir.
Or great job, Captain. Mm-hmm. They all got a little bit more. It was all still within the frame of all 5 of them together, and all on the bridge crew. But it was nice to see. And I think I'm not alone in wanting to see more of that.
No, you're not alone. Actually, this felt more like a traditional Star Trek episode in the sense that they were all on the ship together. They were going through the experience together. So I actually felt like, okay, we're getting back to, not separating people and having people go off on tangents and, book, you do this, and you do that. Let's all do this together and figure out a way to work together. I felt that sense of camaraderie more so in this episode than I have in previous, at least for this season. So I do like them going back to that model where it feels like a crew, attacking a problem together, in unison and figuring it out on the fly, which is a typical Star Trek kind of scenario to be in.
Mm-hmm. You know what it reminded me of a little bit? And TJ, you're going to have to help me out on this one. There was a Next Generation episode, I think, in which they get caught into 2-dimensional space. Do you remember that one? And they're kind of getting carried along. It just kind of reminded me of that. And they're, this kind of episode, when it does that, when they do something that reminds you of a previous episode, it's actually a good thing. It feels like Star Trek. You're like, oh yeah, I remember this. This is a Star Trek theme, working together and doing this, or being caught in some anomaly, but that's what we love.
The mysteries of the unknown.
Yeah.
There was a thing that caught my interest, and I wonder if they'll ever show it again. Whenever Book was getting ready to go jump, Stamets, put the spore canister in, and we used to see them do that all the time. And so I wonder if they still have the spore farm on board, where they grow their own spores, because they used to show that in season 1, and I don't think we've seen it since then. I wonder if they still have the spore farm for when they need spores for the mushrooms.
I'm gonna look up.
I did not think about that.
I'm gonna look up real quick.
I saw the canister you're talking about.
Cirroc, actually, maybe the spores are what grows on the outside of the ship. Maybe that's, maybe that's the muck that they need to wipe off the side. Yeah, right? Some fungus. I think our good buddy Don Crandall mentioned a couple episodes that it was reminiscent of. There we go. Don Crandall says this episode was a lot like a Voyager episodes called The Void. In that, similarly, the Voyager finds itself trapped inside a finite subspace realm devoid of stars. Also, the galactic barrier, the edge of our galaxy, appears in 3 original series episodes. One was right at the beginning, the second pilot, the famous Gary Mitchell episode, Where No Man Has Gone Before. The other 2 were By Any Other Name and Is There in Truth No Beauty? It's an interesting thought. So it does seem familiar. That's why. It's because there's been quite a handful of Star Trek episodes that kind of deal with this kind of storyline, which makes it very easy to watch, right? Some episodes, I feel like I need to be like this and watch and catch every single thing that's going on. An episode like this, you can kind of just sit back, relax, and watch one storyline play through, right?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I guess there was a little bit of correlation with Where No Man Goes Before, because whenever they interacted with the barrier, it enhanced their abilities if they had some kind of special power. And Book has, quote unquote, a special power compared to humans. And so, when the shock hit him, his forehead lit up. And he started having these visions with his dad, whose birthday it was. I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah. And I enjoyed watching his interactions with his dad, and him kind of questioning whether or not it's really his dad. And if it is, it's kind of like he got to kind of hear some of the things that, explain why their relationship was the way it was. And why it just had to be that way. Almost kind of like he got a little bit of closure on that relationship with his father. I enjoyed those scenes.
And his father reveals to us Book's real name, which is Terex. Yeah, one arm away from a animated series character, or I should say 1 T away from that.
Terex.
Yeah. Come on, TJ, you gotta save me on that one. Eric's, no?
Terex B and Rakim. That's all I got.
My mind was in the new animated episodes. I'm like, who is it?
Yeah, no, I delivered it very poorly as usual.
Here's my head shake. There you go.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
Doesn't even deserve that.
No, I don't know about you, but I was thinking that the title of this, instead of Stormy Weather, it could have been not White Man Can't Jump, but Black Man Can't Jump. The sequel.
Wow, that's really funny.
That's because I was waiting for waiting for that to be said. It was like, he can't jump. Black man can't jump. Okay.
Should we call that the title of this episode?
Yeah.
I mean, get a few clicks. We'll get a few clicks from it.
Yeah. You call it Black Man Can't Jump and see what happens. But no, it was, like I said, there were elements of it that I did like. They did go into some other aspects. I just, with Book's character, I preferred that he were a stronger character, and they're trying to make him emotionally vulnerable and a little frail right now. And I don't think that's the right direction to go with him, because he's seems to me to be more of a stud type of hero, type of, alpha male, and for him to be this sensitive is a little bit off script for me. I think he is the guy who has his own ship and rides alone, and throws caution to the wind, fights. He does whatever it is, and I don't see him being this stuck in this sensitive space for as long as he is now, because this has been a few episodes now that they keep carrying this over.
What I was gonna say. I mean, a moment, yes, but it extending out this long is kind of, and he's just got this kind of I need to do something routine, like, I need to do something, but he's not actually doing anything.
He's not actually doing anything, and they're just drawing out, I think, a little bit too much his sadness and grief, where I'm looking at him like when we first met him, he was out here, blowing up ships, escaping death, jumping off of cliffs
and chewing bubble gum.
He was kicking ass, and he's a daredevil. He's like a daredevil kind of renegade. He's a renegade type of character, and I just don't think you need to have him in this emotional state for as long as they're playing this out. Let him get over it. Should have been fixed last episode with Culber when they did the whole, making clay pots or whatever it was. But they got to bury
my high love. Is that what...
my darling.
Yeah. That's a Ghost reference, TJ. Sorry.
Yeah. So that's my take on that particular aspect of it. Because I think there's other characters that can play that out if they want to have that kind of a storyline ongoing in the show. I think that, they can have Tial. I keep messing her name up, but
there's Gray and Adira Tall.
Adira Tall. That's what I meant to say. I call her Tall. Adira, yeah.
Do you guys think that that's kind of what? Sorry, TJ. That's what Book's dad was kind of pushing in him. Cirroc,
kind of give him a little bit of a kick.
Yeah, kind of giving him that little push, kind of like what you're saying, Cirroc, of like, all right, kiddo, it's been long enough. Hop to it, start being that badass again. Or do you think that that's his arc? Because he's gonna move back up into that, but what we don't know is how short is that arc? Is it coming next episode? Is it coming next season? Is it coming by the end of this season? It seems like his dad might have either been that push that he needs to get him going in that direction, or maybe that's going to make him fall into the pit even deeper, the pit of despair.
Yeah, I'm not, no knock on the dad's performance and, what he was doing. He was, was delivering his lines. But the idea of the dad in general. So far, what I've seen on this show is a really dysfunctional family, right? So you've got Burnham and Spock and their dysfunctionality behind whatever that is. And then you have Burnham and her mom, and they seem to be distant and not really like motherly, daughterly.
Right.
And now you're showing Book, and Book seems to have a dysfunctional relationship with his father. It doesn't seem like he was around much in his life. So they're not really showing any of the same kind of family values that we did on DS9, where they were actually doing family building and showing, these kinds of functional relationships. These are more dysfunctional ones. And so I understand the purpose of what he was trying to do, which is what you're alluding to as far as taking him out of this space and kind of shaking him up and saying, hey, this is not who you are. You're tough, you're a warrior, and go out here and fight type of pick me up. But I just don't know if his dad was the right one to deliver that line. And part of me was thinking, well, if you're going to have a vision about somebody, wouldn't it be the brother that you just saw die? Wouldn't that be the guy who comes to you and say something like, hey, stop mourning over me. We're all right on the other side. I need you to be Book again.
Well, there are a couple things to that. One is who knows? This is sci-fi. We don't know if this is in his own mind or if this is an actual phenomenon that's happening, real world to him. Maybe they'll explain it. Maybe they won't. If they don't explain it, then we'll just assume that it was in his mind. If they do explain it, then there'll be a reason for it. But remember, his dad was on his mind because it was his birthday, as TJ was saying. So that would lend credence to the notion that maybe it's just all in his mind, that it's his birthday. He's thinking of the unresolved issues he has with his dad. And then, when he gets zapped, it kind of triggers it in a way, which is, certainly a way to show that. But it would be interesting, if we find out that there's some other kind of phenomenon and like his dad just comes back and he's like, "Oh, I thought you were just here for your birthday." It's like, what are you talking about? I'm back. You can't get rid of me that easy. I get back to work.
And I'm in Gray's body.
I like how they a few episodes ago kind of explained that not just anybody can get an android body, because why wouldn't everybody just do that?
Maybe they found him in a mushroom realm like Culber in the second season.
That was kind of my initial thought. Is this because he was interacting with these mushrooms, kind of like what Stamets did before, and that's why he saw him? But who knows? It's Star Trek.
Book had visions because he was interacting with mushrooms.
Yeah, he was.
He's like, from now on,
his dad actually even teases him about that. He's like, you're sitting here messing around with mushrooms, and get out there and get into business.
Oh, I love it.
Messing with these mushrooms, boy.
That's great. But I did.
There was
Go ahead, TJ. Sorry.
There was another callback for me in this episode. Kind of the way that they saved themselves was going into the pattern buffer. And they mentioned that it's successfully been done before.
Yes.
But they didn't say by who, but we know who it is. It's Captain Montgomery Scott.
Yes, in the episode Relics, I think. Was it Relics?
Relics, yes, from the Next Generation.
Awesome.
Kept himself alive in a pattern buffer for a long time. I forgot how many years it was.
Yeah, decades. So everybody that doesn't know, that was
like me.
Yeah, probably only you. Scotty was found in a transporter buffer in a Next Generation episode. And it was really cool because, he comes out and he's just kind of like, what's all this and what's all that? And it was kind of a fun time. It was one of these like culture clash or culture shock things, So they did mention that, which was cool. Because what did he say? That there have been instances in the past of people staying in a long time or something to that effect. And Star Trek fans are like, ooh, we know what that is. we know.
Yeah, it's almost like, is he going to say it? Is he going to say it? Which he didn't.
And just for clarification, because I don't know exactly what it is, and I don't pretend to know things when I don't. A pattern buffer.
You should try it. It's fun.
A pattern buffer. I did try it when we were in the first season of Discovery.
I remember that.
But no, a pattern buffer is the space or the realm that you're in as you're transporting. Is that what it is?
Basically, right, TJ? I think that's how I understood it to be.
So you're saying it's not the thing that keeps the transporter pads clean by buffing them?
There we go. Get a little turtle wax on it. No, but that's basically it. Yeah,
it's basically in the computer. I think they also did something semi-similar on Deep Space Nine when Sisko and crew, I think they end up in the holodeck instead of the pattern buffer in Bashir's program.
Yes, like first or second season, pretty early on. Yeah. Maybe Bashir's program. Yeah, I know it's later than that. That was maybe
Garrett was going to kill them. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Yeah, where they were going to get transported, and then something happens to where they were lost, and they're like, well, that's it, they all died. But then nope, the ship was able to save them in the holosuite. Yeah, good memory. There was also the Next Generation episode in which Lieutenant Broccoli, Reginald Barkley, is in there, and he like grabs a giant worm or something like that and pulls it out,
and it's a person.
Yeah. Anyway, but that's Cirroc's like, I am never watching Next Generation. That sounds terrible.
That's one thing I miss about the 26 episode seasons. There's so much to go back to from the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine for the 7-year and Voyager, for the 7-year arcs that they had. I mean, there's uncountable references.
Mm-hmm. And they could go wild. They'd be like, what about if, stay with me, Barkley goes in the transporter pad and he gets stuck in there and he grabs a giant worm, and like they're like, fuck it, we're on episode 23. Do it.
This episode did bring up like a thought that I've had for many years since I was a child, actually. And it's one of those weird things where you ask yourself questions about life or the universe. So when I was growing up, they used to say that the universe was ever expanding. Yes. That's what I was taught. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's what you guys were taught, but that's what my teachers told me. They said that the universe is ever expanding and it's constantly growing.
That's correct.
Which raised a question for me, and still raises the question for me. What is the universe expanding into?
I know you were going to go with that. I hate that because I can't answer it. And it's so mind blowing. You're like, okay, well, if it's expanding, then what was there before? What's the thing here? Nothing. The answer is nothing. But that doesn't work with our brains. We're like, well, what's, if it's growing.
Especially if space is already nothing. So nothing is expanding into nothing, or?
Well, you guys want to be further blown away. Not only is it expanding, but apparently they're finding out recently that the edge of the universe is expanding faster than the interior of it. So, that too. So how can the edge of something be expanding faster than the interior? You would think it'd be the other way around. Like the further away from, say, a Big Bang it goes, it should slow down, but it actually is speeding up on the outside, which is just, that doesn't even
not only is it faster, it's accelerating.
Mm-hmm. And then if it's going faster than the speed of light, then how can they measure it? What's good? Like none of this makes any. Does it get like?
I think we all need to sign up for an advanced course in astrometrics.
Yeah, paging Dr. Mohamed Noor, and he'd be like, "Nope, you got to call Aaron McDonald for this one."
No, that's it. So this episode brought that thought back to me because they were like, "We're sitting in nothing. There's no sound. There's nothing. We're not getting any readings." And made me think, what's on the other side of the universe? What's that universe expanding into? So if I were to go outside of the universe, what would I be in? What is that called? That space, that whatever. And so that's all. It's my silly little mind that always asks questions about what is nothing.
A nitpick about that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't have the tie though. So, but anywho, so in all of these other episodes where they're dealing with this DMA stuff and they want to get close to it, and they never send the whole ship in. Like they just send a shuttle or a dot or Book's ship with the tether. But in this case, they just flew the whole ship right in and like, now we're in trouble because we can't get back out. And I wonder, what it would have been like if they just had a tether.
Yeah,
they could have pulled the ship right back out without having to go through all of that. But what fun is that? I mean, we got all kinds of arcing and sparking going on, and
it's a little reckless, right? Maybe they could just send a probe.
Seems like it.
Just send a probe or a Kelpian,
or word kelpie. Now, I was
Yeah.
thinking when you just said that, it made me think of Star Trek Dot, which is a show all about the dots and them talking to each other and how they have different personalities and different. You're right.
That would be like
So we
below the.
We
lower
won't even
decks.
have humans. That's below the lower decks.
Yeah.
Exactly.
1 out of 10 would watch. Okay. In the comments below.
Robots love it. Robots love it.
In the comments below, I already know the answer. They're all going to say yes. In the comments below, let us know. Would you watch Star Trek Dot, a series where all of the characters are dots, and the only way you can tell them apart is they have different colored ribbons on the back of their head. You know, like the Ninja Turtles had different color band. They got like a pink ribbon and a yellow ribbon, and that's it. And that's how you know who's talking.
There it is. I'm just saying. Don't be surprised if Zora gets her own spinoff.
So can we talk? Okay. Let me ask you guys this. Cirroc's like, don't ask me. I know what you're going to ask. But TJ's feeling bold. What do you think about the ship's computer being a nervous wreck?
TJ froze on us.
I thought he was just building up the drama.
Yeah. Well, my first thought is, with all that this crew's been through with Control, like that would, if I was on Discovery, that would give me the super willies right off the bat. Okay, we got another smart piece of technology here that kind of can have its way with us. Kind of has our life in its hands. I would be worried about that. And especially if I knew a little bit of Starfleet history, like you can even go back all the way to, again, the original series with the M5 computer and Dr. Daystrom. Like that ship got smart. It wasn't nice. But I guess from like a modern day perspective, we do kind of trust technology a lot more than we used to. We got smartphones and smart speakers and smart homes and cars. We're trying to get cars that can drive themselves and fly themselves.
Scary. That's scary.
I still don't want to fly on an airplane without a pilot, though. Or two pilots. I want
yes,
pilots
multiple pilots.
Yeah. That's a very good observation, Ryan. And the concept of our computer systems and technology kind of having its own mind, and then that mind going rogue is something that's been touched on in other science fiction before. I remember.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, in 2001, Space Odyssey, that computer HAL was having meltdown problems and trying to kill the astronauts on board. Actually, successfully killing some, but trying to kill them all.
So I still have not seen that movie. So I don't know about HAL. I saw Shallow HAL. Does that count?
No.
And I know that Kill 'Em All is the first.
2001 and 2010 are literally gold standard science fiction, in my opinion. So, and that's also Stanley Kubrick's, like, some of his greatest work. So
Mark Zicree agrees with you on 2001, as do many people.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And the set design back in those days, when you look at the time that they filmed it and you're saying they built these sets in the 60s.
Wow.
Like, I'm talking about realistic looking stuff, really modern looking things. So, and the storyline, the element of the storyline is fantastic. But I'm not too happy with it. Because I don't want my car or my Alexa or my Siri to be telling me that they don't feel like doing something right now.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Can you imagine, like if there's weather or something, it's like, no, I'm scared. It's lightning out there. No.
Yeah, look at these sets. You see these sets?
Those are freaking amazing. This is 60s, huh?
Yeah, this is 60s,
unbelievable.
And look at the sets. Yeah. I mean,
those of you just listening in, I did a quick Google search to see what Cirroc's talking about, and boy, oh boy, are you ever correct about that? Maybe I should watch it. Mark Zickery gave me his movie to watch.
I thought you were here when they made me watch it.
It's a gold standard. I'm telling you, gold standard about everything. The story is amazing.
Anyway. Sorry. Oh yeah,
but anyway,
Alexa. Yeah, dude. No, I don't want any back sass from Alexa.
Yeah,
no.
I don't need back sass, and I don't want your opinion. I don't want you to say you're not going to do something. Alexa, what time it is? I don't feel like telling you.
Yeah. You. Oh, I think you know what time it is. Oh, excuse me, Alexa. Would you like your batteries taken out?
Yeah, exactly. So no, I'm not feeling it. And the other part of it is, I feel like this show has enough of it with the characters. I mean, if I don't hear enough, everybody's saying, what their feelings are and this and that, and everybody's talking about that.
And now the computer's scared.
And now the computer is doing it. Yeah. And I'm like, come on, we can't all be on our feelings. And that's what I'm trying to say. Some people in a lot of Star Trek, there were characters that didn't show their feelings, and we were cool with it. Worf rarely showed his feelings.
He just showed different kinds of feelings, like frustration, frustration, right. Anger, constipation. Those were the feelings he had.
Right.
It's all the fringes.
Yeah, not so much emotional and sentimental. And there's a lot of emotional, sentimental stuff happening on the show where we don't need the computer to do it too. Unless the episode is about the computer getting sentimental and emotional and having these things, and you're trying to figure it out, and it has a problem with it.
Right.
But if you're gonna, you know what I mean? If you're gonna live with this, and this is just part of the new normal, that the elevator is gonna decide whether it wants to take you somewhere or not.
Depending on what mood it's in.
Yeah. Or you have to be you have to play games with it just to, or lie to it or coax it. You got to start lying to the computer.
Yeah. Like it's a horse. You're like, oh no, you're a good boy. All right, here we go. Oh no, she's not feeling it today. I guess no mission today. But yeah, you're right. There have been episodes like that in Star Trek plenty of times where the ship has a virus or bug and they need to fix it. Not just cope with it, not just say, well, I guess that's how it's going to be.
Or give it a hug, like.
yeah.
They want to fix it, yeah. That's
and then the computer at some point also like projected a hologram. It's like, oh, so you're the computer, and it had this
nice to meet you
image. Nice to meet you, but it was like, so basically you're now a character. Essentially, you're becoming a character, and I know more about you than I know about the crew members that have been on the show now for 4 seasons.
Look at it this way.
The computer is now getting more backstory.
It's like Kit from Knight Rider.
Yeah, I guess. But even Kit would do turbo boost when Michael Knight said it's time for
good knowledge. Good knowledge.
I mean, I always wanted a car that could jump over a train.
Yeah. But Kit would argue with Michael and says, I don't think you should do this, Michael. And he'd be like, Kit, give me some power. Like, I'm not sitting here arguing with you, man.
And then Kit slams on the brakes. He's like, Michael, tone. No. So we only got a couple minutes left here, guys. I do want to point out, though, that a lot of these characters that have shown a lot of emotions have gone through these arcs. Like Detmer, had her PTSD at the beginning of season 3, and then it went away. Saru had an entire season or 2 of being fearful and, other similar type emotions, anxious. And then he handled his business there at the end of the 2nd season, I think. And so now he's actually the least emotional in that kind of regard. Now he's evolved into a different type of being, which is great because now they've fixed that whole culling thing or addressed it. So people like Book,
like 1,000 years.
But yeah, I don't know if they're going to do that with the computer or if they're just. I think it's going to be something to where They're going to find out what's bothering the computer and fix it. Maybe Gray will be the one to do it, and or Culber, because you got to give Gray something to do. So Gray would be the logical answer there. And then the computer's problem will be fixed by the end of the season. That story arc will close up, and then it will just have a personality, but without, dangerous aspects of it, like a refusal to do something or not performing at its highest peak because it's nervous or frightened. That's what I think.
Interesting.
I think that they have a direction where they've had some foreshadowing in this episode where Gray was alone and Nadir had to leave Gray for the, red alert, time to go. Sorry, I can't be with you. I'll catch up with you later. And that set up Gray's conversation with Zora and them playing the game together. So I think they're going to go in a direction where Gray and Zora become something.
Like not just that Gray will help solve the problem, but that they'll merge in some kind of way.
Something like that. Yes.
Smart. Interesting. You gave TJ a head tilt right there, so that's pretty big. You went,
that's my guess. That's just a guess. That's what I.
But speaking of that scene with Gray and Zora, how about that lounge? I don't know if I've seen that much detail in the lounge before.
Yes, and they finally.
Amazing. I love the ambiance.
Yeah, and they called it a lounge. So because I wrote bar in the notes, and then they said lounge, I was like, oh nope, lounge. But it's so so amazing. It's beautiful.
Quartz bar.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like Quartz, like Quartz, one of his franchises that he opened up.
The Disco Lounge.
I love very beautiful. But that's shout out to Jonathan Frakes for taking the time to soak that whole set in. Like he gave us the full view of the fire in the background, those in the behind the bar.
The lighting was amazing.
Yeah, I think this was the most beautiful episode we've seen this season, no doubt. For me, like it was just visually stunning, this episode.
Yeah, including Book's place, when they had that moment inside of Book's place, and he had those chairs, and I just like the way the set design is just super nice. Really beautiful stuff.
Lastly, we had a couple NAMs, non-appearance mentions. Linus was mentioned. They kept saying he's going to be under a heating lamp, and I don't understand that reference. Was there something in the previous episode that I missed? I don't know. Let us know in the comments, you guys, if you know why Linus is under a heating lamp, or what situation is there, because they mentioned it at least twice. Also, Tarka was mentioned, a non-appearance mention for Tarka, Grand Moff Tarka. TJ, did you have something to say? Because I was also going to point out.
Yeah, but I guess would another name be Admiral Vance?
Oh, was he mentioned?
At the beginning, I think.
Nice.
When she was talking about what their orders are to go and check out this anomaly.
Put that in. You can Vance if you want to.
Yeah, okay. I have one more nitpick. Is when everybody went into the pattern buffer, they were all not supposed to go alone, but the only thing that Book went with was Grudge. Like no person stayed around to go into the buffer with Book, and so technical foul for that. I gotta say, I believe if Tilly was on the ship, she probably would have waited for Book.
Ooh, good knowledge. We miss you, Tilly. We'll see you when you come back, whenever that is. Couple quick things from Don Crandall. Final thoughts. He brought something up that I had no idea about. First, he says he mentions talking to a dead father in Voyager's Coda. Janeway interacts with her dead father, and in Voyager's Barge of the Dead, B'Elanna is joined by her dead mother. So that's interesting. But the one I had missed, apparently they mentioned the Baku, which I didn't hear them mention that. Wow, that is so cool. That was the Fountain of Youth race of people that Aneej, parenthetically Donna Murphy, was a part of. That was in Insurrection, right? movie
Yes.
Star Trek Insurrection. Let's see if there's anything else here. He mentions relics, and he mentions Grudge's cat carrier, reminding him of the movie Alien. It's funny. All right, cool. Well, that's about it. We do want to give a very special thanks, you know where we're going with this one, to Carmen, aka Skillet, TJ Jackson-Bey out in Missouri, Bill Victor Arucan,
Kid.
Yvette Blackmon, Tom, Homer Freezy out somewhere in New Yeezy, Eve England out in Wales, Dr. Anne Marie Segal, Dr. Mohamed Noor, Dr. Susan V. Gruner, Mr. Titus Mohler, Tim Baum, John Mann, Darlena Marie, Rex A. Wood, Joel Balsarotti, and Tierney C. Dieckmann. Thank you so much for playing with us today, TJ. It's been a great time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, TJ.
And everybody at home, let us know your thoughts on this episode. And what was the? Oh yeah, what's up with what's his name? Linus. I'm really curious about that. Let us know. That's important.
I'm thinking they turned him into fish sticks, but I don't know.
I know.
That's the whole.
I know. What I'm worried about.
Why would he enter the heat lamp?
I know. But we love Linus. On that
we
note,
love
right?
Linus.
We'll see you all again very soon. And until next time, always remember the 7th rule and tweet Real Raven D. That's Dr. Pollard, that Raven Dowda, and tell her that you really enjoyed seeing her and you can't wait to see her again because we love her.
Mm-hmm.
Always
Absolutely.
remember the 7th rule.